Greetings, brothers and sisters. So, something pretty funny and kind of telling happened at the Grammys, and it involves Sam Smith and Pfizer and some other things. I was sent this morning by various people. But it started off with Madonna, and there was a song called Unholy by Sam Smith that she was introducing because it was going to be controversial. It was one of those things that was supposed to shock people and freak people out. But, how much worse can things get, right? Back in Madonna's day, Madam Expiration Date, this is her trying to stay relevant. And, so it says here, Madonna unrecognizable at the Grammys. That can't be her, can it? And then there was these things said by various other fans so confused by Madonna's new face at the Grammys. And so she's got this messed up plastic surgery face because she's I guess they gave her some kind of a tribute. She's Madam Expiration Date. She's trying to stay relevant, and she's old, right? She's trying to be a young, early 20s pop star, and she's, entering into her, she's 60-something years old. And you can't, plastic surgery doesn't work, right? Like we know. So she came out and did this here.
Thanks to all the rebels out there forging a new path and taking the heat for all of it.
Yeah, all the rebels, the rebels who are bringing humanity down a satanic path, right? That's not rebellious, especially now when anything goes, right? When purity and divinity and wholesomeness and all these things, the power is in the demonic left, and not that liberalism is left, is demonic. Not that there's true liberalism, the things that are good about the liberal movement. It's some sort of hijacked woke consciousness, whatever you want to call it, that's being propped up by the powers that be, that's being pushed by the forces, the economic forces and the hidden power. So I just want to add this. I'm in the editing portion. And so the battle between liberals and conservatives, it's not a real battle between true liberalism or being conservationist, right? Being conservative. But the way that it's framed out in its purest form is about keeping things the same versus change, right? It's about making America great again versus lean forward. And so for years, the conservative right, the Christian, coalition, the people who were, the Reagan people and the Bush people and then, people before that, they wanted to keep things the same. They were scared of change, people who liked things the way they were. And then there was the young hippies that wanted to change things, make things progressive. And they brought in some good things, organic food, right? That was a time when we had chemicals, DDT is good for me kind of stuff, right? Like that was a part of being conservative and business oriented and these things. And so there was a problem with the conservative, power that was there. And there were some good things about the hippie liberal movement. And so, the battle between keeping things the same or change, or having, moving forward, leaning into it, leaning forward, is, not an evil battle, because you have to have both things. Sometimes the youth, it's a difference between older people who are set in their ways, and you don't want a lot of change the older you get. Like I'm in that bracket, right? Where it's just, you don't have the energy to change things. You want more routine-oriented things, and you just don't have the energy to do new things and try new things and recover from them. It takes more energy. It takes more, effort, right? And so you want to keep things the same, but then you have the young adults, teenagers, and then going into their 20s, and when, everyone's more liberal when they're in college, all these things, right? And so they want to change things. And eventually it'll switch to where, changing things will be people wanting to bring back God, right? When this thing all plays out, if it, given the changes that are going to happen, the apocalyptic things that are going to happen, that's, neither here nor there, right? But, because it's not going to play out that way. But if this thing went in its current direction, the youth, young college people, radical people, will be pushing God, and will be pushing back against the religion of science, because that's how it'll be. The older generation will want to keep science and want to, suppress divinity and spiritual and religious worship and things. It'll be reversed. But right now it's about the change that's happening is becoming more scientific and dismissing God, more atheistic, and now I guess demonic and these other things, right? That's the change they push. Change is inevitable. We all have to accept change. But you don't change things just to change things. And what they're changing to it is much worse, right? And we all can see it. Like, it's like, oh, this is bad. If you're older, you can see how bad what the changes they're pushing. And that's why it's not that liberalism is bad. It's not that change and youthful energy are bad. It's what they're changing it to that's bad, right? It's the content. It's not the energy behind it. Change is inevitable. But this kind of change is, it's not only destructive, but destructive isn't even bad, right? When you're destroying something, I guess that's, part of something that needs to be destroyed. But it's going away from God. Like, it's going away from the divine order of things and denying the divine order of things, right? It's demonic in the sense of it's coming from the ego. It's a massive ego movement where people are saying we can be and do and say anything we want and be whatever we want. And that's not true, right? You have a soul's purpose. There are rules. Like, you're saying that there's no rules. And there are rules. And, you saying there are no rules is part of it. Like, whatever we say is go. Whatever I am, whatever I think I am, right? And no, there are rules to things. Like, you have a soul, you have a purpose, and there's divine order to things, right? Let's get back to it here.
You guys need to know, all you troublemakers out there, you need to know that
you're not troublemakers. You can't be aligned with the power that dominates the world and be a troublemaker, right? Like, you can't do that. You're aligned with corporations. You're aligned with the UN. You're aligned with the government, the Democratic Party, social media that's run and owned by, these left-leaning. It's the whole thing. You're not speaking truth to power. You're not troublemakers, right?
Your fearlessness does not go unnoticed. You are seen. You are heard.
You're seen and you're heard.
And most of all, you are appreciated.
Boom. But here's the thing here.
Into something beautifully unholy.
Beautifully unholy. There's nothing that's unholy that's beautiful, right? It's not when it's seen with its, ugliness and the divorce from divinity go hand in hand.
Yeah. Here are two Grammy Award winners, Sam Smith and Kim Petras.
Woo! Unholy, woo! It's gonna be great. And so Sam Smith came out. I'm going to show you the thing in a second here. And these devil's horns, and he did this song Unholy. I got a couple of clips of it, but it's the end that's really important because it ties into the Hollywood celebrities dropping like flies. Girls in cages, everyone wearing devil's horns. This must be Kim Petras. Looks like she's dripping blood, bathed in red. This kind of, all of it, right? They're wearing their red and all this stuff here. Giving this speech. They won an award for this thing. Unholy. It's just, the song sucks. We're spinning around here. It's like a satanic ritual, right? And so, going in here. It's a horrible song. Cages, all these kind of things, right? Turn the mic off. It's just, it's not good, right? There she is. I guess she's in cages. Kim Petras or whatever her name is. She's all caged up, and they're all wearing red. They got the, demonic fires. There's Sam Smith and, devil horn hat, right? And it's just, and they're just trying to be like whatever. So this is the demonic performance, right? This is a big performance of the night. This is Madonna introduced it, Madam Expiration Date. And she was, the big person to try to shock everybody. That was how she made her whatever, and, using religion and, wearing crosses, but being, satanic, all the stuff that she did. And so at the end of it, this is the kicker here. I think this is authentic. This is from somebody's TV, like somebody recording their TV. So I don't think that it was manipulated. And here it is. So there's, the devil's horns and all of that, wearing like a choked demonic MK Ultra collar there. Sam Smith. And they rocked it, right? Woo, you did it, woo.
The 65th Grammy Awards is sponsored by Pfizer.
And that's now I don't know how they would have done this on their TV. I don't know if this is legitimate, but it's hilarious that the Grammy Awards sponsored by Pfizer. That's how they introduced. They had Madam Expiration Date, then this demonic unholy performance. We haven't done the Rooster. Let's give him the Rooster. The Rooster, Rooster, Rooster. And then Pfizer, and apparently this commercial was being run during the show. Somebody sent it to me this morning as well with this stuff.
If this were the real COVID-19, I would be in real trouble.
She's holding a COVID-19.
Because I have asthma.
She's got asthma.
And I have depression.
He's got depression. When you got depression, COVID-19 sucks.
I have diabetes.
She's got diabetes.
And I struggle with my weight.
He's fat.
For us, COVID is a whole different ballgame.
Exactly. Any of those things.
In fact,
Nice catch, Michael Phelps.
you could be one of almost 200 million Americans with a high risk factor that makes COVID even riskier.
It's even riskier. She threw it to herself. Boom, she whipped it at Michael Phelps.
Which is why you need to be ready.
You
And
gotta be ready, Phelps.
have a plan. Other
You gotta have a plan.
risk factors, including heart disease or being inactive.
Being what? Physically inactive? What about all the athletes, though, that are dropping like flies?
Even being over 50 or being a smoker can put you at serious risk.
Could that be you?
It could be.
Find out. Go to noplangood.com and know your risk factors.
You gotta know your risk factors. Noplan.com. Who's putting out this wonderful ad, I wonder?
Then make a plan.
Because if you get COVID on top of asthma, like I did, the last thing you want to do is wait and see. Be ready, have a plan.
Boom. Boom. Drop the ball.
And ask
Drop
your doctor.
COVID. From people at Pfizer. This was presented by Pfizer. And, if they did an actual ad for medicine, when you do a medicine ad, you have to list the side effects. You have to, you see these ads for pharmaceutical drugs, and they list the side effects, right, after the advertisement. But if you do a public service announcement like this, you don't have to. But you can get this in there, right? So this happened at the Grammys. Yes, Unholy, Sam Smith, Madam Expiration Date. And apparently they were playing this ad. I didn't watch the Grammys because it sucks, right? I've been talking about this for the last couple of years. There's a time where I would make a video about something like this, and so many other people would make a video. Grammy performances with Illuminati stuff, satanic stuff, whatever, right? And then before that, years and years ago, when Madam Expiration Date, Madonna sucked, always sucked. Like she was not a good singer, and she's, probably an okay dancer. I mean, she's not somebody who's like, a spectacular dancer or something, right? She's, she could be like a Laker girl or something, something like that, right? She could do, backup dancer or whatever it is, backup singer, backup dancer. But her claim to fame was she would do outrageous stuff, and she pushed a Hollywood morality back when Christians had all the power, the religious right. And so, not all the power, but there was the Republicans had more power than the Democrats, and there was a traditional America that I grew up in the 80s and 90s. There was a movement towards the left, but Madonna did things that were outrageous. But those things are no longer outrageous, right? And this Illuminati satanic stuff is no longer shocking because, real world depopulation's going on, right? Like there's real world. I mean, their plan is now in effect in a sense, and not just their plan, because, people in the truth community give way too much power to the controllers. The system's collapsing. I mean, there's a real apocalypse in terms of a collapsing system. The system's too debt heavy, but it's collapsing from immorality. When people disconnect themselves from God, when they, there's a dumbing down and idiocracy, people are stupider. I mean, that's part of it. And there's just, people are disconnected from their soul and the divine forces. I mean, all these things, right? And it's the end of a yuga. Like it's just a transitionary time. As all these things are happening at once. And so symbolism ceased to be as important, right? Because real things are happening. So going back to what I was saying about Madonna, she's always sucked, but she sucked less in the 80s or 90s or whatever she was, the number one celebrity, one of the top celebrities. And she was different. Like the stuff she was doing outrageous things to get attention. Everyone look at me because she's a big, attention, boop, right? A Babylonian, oh, right? So it's like this. And so her, attention-seeking ways and having to do outrageous things that triggered people, because this is what they're doing. They're just trying to trigger Christians and people who believe in God and all these things. And traditional type of, family life. They're just trying to, and it's not people in power. These are average day people that go to work. And, many of them are like the backbone of this country in the sense of they do the jobs that no one wants to do, right? Simple people, some of them, many of them don't have the ability for abstract thought, things like this. People who follow religion and, they're not brilliant, but they're salt of the earth type people. They do the hard work that keeps America going, right? Like most of those people are religious, a lot of those people. And they, even if they're not religious, they don't like satanic stuff, right? For obvious reasons. And so it isn't like they're pushing back against some power. They're pushing it back against average Americans who are struggling financially. And they have this new Hollywood morality thrust on them and their kids. Their kids are falling apart. Their kids are depressed. And they're engaging in all these, deviant behaviors that are now celebrated and defended, right? And it's been played out. They've done it for years, and now you're part of the establishment. Now the establishment's pushing the stuff that Madonna, was one of the original. I mean, she was one of the people that pushed this agenda in Hollywood morality. And now that she's Madam Expiration Date, where she's, she sucks worse because she, with stuff that she needs to do to get attention for herself, just is sad and pathetic, right? Like she's trying to desperately keep herself young and relevant, but she's jumped the shark years ago. And so she's made herself suck retroactively. And then all these people that followed in her footsteps, like Katy Perry and Lady Gaga and like Sam Smith now, any of these people, all these various celebrities that have tried to use shock, Little Nas X, right? It's just the whole thing's, it's ridiculous. It's embarrassing. And again, it's different when you're pushing against the powers that be. But now the powers that be are openly like embracing Satan, like in various other ways. And so the whole thing, it's just, it's just silly. And then Pfizer being tied to all this is hilarious. Like, it's just great. It's just like a wonderful gift that's happened. Well, anyways, let's move on here. We got a bunch of other things to get to here. Don Lemon screamed at CNN This Morning host, left crew rattled. Do they have a video here, or is this something else?
Happened at the Abu Dhabi airport, and that she is on her way back to U.S. soil. Again, Brittany Griner, the WNBA star, released from Russian detention. We're standing by for the President of the United States.
It's been 10 months since she's been held in captivity.
8:30 this morning.
He interrupted. Caitlin Collins interrupted him. At this point, Caitlin wants to be on the set as little as possible with Don. Tensions on the set. This is him not having his own show, right? And having to get up early because he's been demoted because nobody likes him and his ratings sucked. Tensions on the set of CNN This Morning have recently boiled over, with Don Lemon allegedly screaming at co-host Caitlin Commons off camera during an ugly December incident that has left the cast and crew rattled ever since, the Post has learned. According to two sources with knowledge of the situation, 56-year-old Lemon approached 30-year-old Collins following the show's Thursday, December 8th broadcast and unloaded on her in front of the staffers as he accused her of interrupting him on the air. Well, she did. Don then screamed at Caitlin, who was vividly upset and ran out of the studio. Kablowie. Hard times at the morning show with Don Lemons and Caitlin Collins.
Demanding to know, where's Nancy? Stop the hammering out there. Who's got a hammer?
We actually have an answer to this. We figure out who's doing the hammering. One of my viewers sent me this. It'll be a good thing for, who's this guy? Lawrence. This is Lawrence O'Donnell, right? Lawrence, we found out the culprit here.
Where is it? I don't know. Where's the hammer? Is it on the... Go up on the other floor. Somebody go up there and stop the hammering. Stop the hammering. Call fuck Griffin. I don't care who the fuck to call. Stop the hammering. Empty out the goddamn control room and find out where this is going on. It's either there or out there somewhere. Out of control. Jesus Christ. Crazy sound coming in my ear. This stupid hammering. I told you why I wanted those words cut. It just sucks. It sucks to be out here with this out of control Any thing can come into my ear at any moment. These things. How do you say this guy's last name? Demanding to know, where's Nancy?
This is the power couple at the center of Biden's political universe. Wow. Bob Bauer and Anita Dunn, most powerful people in the president's circle, and they've been at the center of his response to this discovery of classified documents. Boom. This is the power couple. Trump denies Pentagon claims of spy balloons on his watch as U.S. admits one crashed in the Pacific last year. There's been a spy balloon problem. They keep on sending over these spy balloons. Lots of memes people have been sending me memes. Rubio says that China purposely sent balloon to show U.S. in decline. That they, they're showing us that we're weak. China's strong and U.S. is weak. Navy divers recovering Chinese balloon debris off of Atlantic coast. Debris off of Atlantic coast for investigation. Arnold Schwarzenegger allegedly hits bicyclist with car. Report says Arnold Schwarzenegger was reportedly involved in a car accident Sunday morning that resulted in a bicyclist being rushed to the emergency room. Arnold. He doesn't care about, this is what he doesn't care about.
Screw your freedom.
Chris Brown throws temper tantrum at Grammy's 2023 loss. Who the F is this? Unfortunately, they don't have any video of the temper tantrum. He said, who the F is Robert Glasper? And they start playing the harmonica. I don't know what that means. Harmonica breezy. So I guess that happened. Fans outraged Aaron Carter was left out of Grammy's 2023 in memoriam. How's he going to provide? He's got to provide something for his family.
That I supplied milk to my family.
Loretta Lynn. They have Loretta Lynn. They included. The show's in memoriam segment left out Aaron Carter, who tragically passed away in November. I mean, he was such a great rapper and musical icon. How dare they leave him out? Earthquake in Turkey and Syria. Live updates. More than 2,200 people killed. And these are the kind of things that are happening that are natural. I mean, natural, Hollywood celebrities dropping like flies stuff, or just people dropping like flies. But this is happening, right? There's going to be upheavals of all kinds. Some man-made, some delivered by nature, but this is what happens when your system is in free fall and collapses. Okay, so to continue with Hollywood celebrities dropping like flies, like I'm mixing these things in together. This is the died suddenly, screaming husband finds wife dead after she went to bed, complaining of a sore shoulder. Do you know there's 5 steps to save a life? Firefighter dies of cardiac arrest. Las Vegas man, 43, dies during tennis match at country club. I mean, there's, some of these things. Lisa Loring, you know who that is. Widow thanks fans who tried to help her husband who dies after a cup game. Some of these things I've covered, some of them I haven't. But there's just all these things, right? It's a daily occurrence. China is our biggest threat. The guy's wearing a Nike hat, Walmart shirt, and he's got I guess that's an iPhone, which means all things that he's supporting that come from China, right? The Wegovy side effect they don't want you to know about. Doctors say patients lose more muscle than fat while taking the drug. I've never heard of Wegovy, but apparently it's a weight loss drug. And it also melts muscle off of patients' bodies. And so people who are doing this it seems like it attacks the muscle more than it attacks the fat. So, that'd be kind of funny if, I guess it's funny. Why is the prince always with an underage girl? Well, we have Snow White. Is that Little Mermaid? We have wherever they are. And we have Prince Andrew and 15-year-old girl. I wanted to talk about the Kyrie Irving situation, and this is I was going to do it in videos the last 3 or 4 days. I keep on forgetting, right? I got some comments I got to get to, but I guess I'll wait. Maybe I'll just do the comments too. But first, let's talk about Kyrie Irving. And so when Madonna was talking, Madam Expiration Date was talking about all these, troublemakers, right? If they are troublemakers, they would get their advertisement cut from them. They would lose funding, right? And we've seen this with celebrities, Kyrie Irving, and we saw it with Kanye, with Ye, and various other celebrities who came out and said something about whatever it might be, right? Coming up against the vax or some other thing. And if you're a true troublemaker, then they'll take away your money or your spot, or they'll deplatform you or whatever it is, right? I mean, some of this deplatforming is staged because Trump isn't a real troublemaker. Trump is doing everything they want him to do. Trump was their guy, right? He was the catalyst for them to push this agenda through. But I've been covering Kyrie Irving on my other channel now for a couple of years, at least the last year. I don't know what it was, since he declined to get the vaccination. And, he had done some Illuminati stuff with his shoe, and, there's some things I covered him negatively about. But when he said he wasn't going to get the vax and he just didn't back down, it sent reverberation through the whole sporting world. And, of course, now he looks like he made the right decision based on what we're seeing. And this is the debate between the vaxxers and the anti-vaxxers. At some point, we were going to know, right? And we now know that COVID disappeared basically on its own. It mutated itself out of existence. And so there are a lot of people who didn't really need, and people got the COVID with the vaccine. It's come out by all these various people, right, that have said this. Pfizer themselves said it. I've shown you I'm not going to show you the memes and all these other Dr. Birx, all these people. They said that they overstated the case. They knew it didn't prevent you from getting COVID. So this whole argument that you would get the vaccine to protect people who couldn't get it because they had immune deficiencies, a compromised immune system, that was wrong. So it's only whether it was going to protect you from getting it and you were at high risk. And pretty much everyone got it anyway. And so it really didn't do what it was promised it would do. And now there's the chance of severe side effects, right? So now here comes the, debate whether you did something right or not, because COVID has basically mutated itself into like a stronger version of the flu, whatever's going on out there. And, it seems like it's highly contagious. Everyone's getting it one way or another. And so with all that, it's time to determine whether you made the right choice. So Kyrie Irving recently asked for a trade, and he's been playing great. He's a leading vote getter among guards for the All-Star game. He had a great month where he played really well, and he's had a good year overall. And there was 5 days before the trade deadline, and he came out and asked for a trade, and people are like, here we go, the guy just can't stop causing drama. But they failed to acknowledge that by all measurable standards, it seems like he made the right decision, because they said he didn't play, right? He sat out a few games a year before, and he had some injuries, and he created some drama before that. But the vaccine thing, you can't blame him for, especially now when it looks like he made the right decision and he set a good example, right? And so they're counting that amongst his failures when he spoke truth to power, the way Madam Expiration Date was talking about troublemakers and how, we like people to stand up to the powers that be, but, not when it's real, like when it's fake and it's some, goofy, social thing, right? Pushing a social agenda that is already backed by the powers that be. And so Kyrie Irving requested a trade, but from a business standpoint, he has lost a lot of money. He's up for a new contract extension, and based on his play, he would get a max deal. And the team that he plays for can offer him more money than other teams. And the Nets have showed no interest in giving him more money because they don't want to re-sign him, because there's been conflict there. But the Nets were on the wrong side, in my opinion, of, the whole thing that he had with that post that he put on Twitter that was supposed to be anti-Semitic, and yet the video is still up on Amazon, and he was fined $500,000. He was suspended for like 7 or 8 games, and the Nets just mishandled the whole thing. And so they don't want him there. And so he stands to make more money at with another team if he's traded before he signs a contract extension. So it's just good business. And all the sports media came down on him at first, and then they realized, oh, this is actually a good decision on his part. And he was eventually traded to the Dallas Mavericks. And so that's all kind of, it's interesting how it all played out. But the New York Nets are clearly the villain in the city of New York, the Brooklyn Nets, and New York State and city, the way that they conducted themselves with the mandates and stuff. It's just, people are leaving in droves. It's a disaster. So I don't get very many negative comments because YouTube stopped recommending my videos to mainstream people, sheeple, and in general, right? So I get, the way they've changed the algorithms, and, I ban people. So because of that, I sometimes go days without getting any sort of real negative comment. But I got 3 good ones that are, to me funny, and there's stuff I want to address as well. So this is my video that had Priscilla Presley and Lisa Marie Presley as the thumbnail. The name of the video was Hollywood Celebrities Dropping Like Flies Comes to Pockets of the Future. And the person wrote this: as soon as you said I had COVID, I turned off your video. Just a heads up. Well, as soon as I read your comment, I said, thank God this guy isn't watching my videos anymore. Just a heads up. As soon as you left your comment and I read it, I said, oh my God, I hope this guy leaves. And you did, so thanks. And, thanks for the heads up. But you really didn't have to say anything. Like, you just could have left because, this is the overreach that people think they have when they say, I'm unsubscribing. I've talked about this in the past. That they feel like they need to verbalize it. Recently, I left heartfulness. I'm still doing Saj Marg, the meditation that I've done for years. But the current master of the system, Daji, has corrupted the system, and he's developed this thing called heartfulness. And it just, he's exposed himself and the whole heartfulness fraud in various ways. I've covered in my Journey series, right? And so I left, I've been doing this for years, and I had a, personal relationship with this guy, Kamlesh, Daji, and, knew him. We were, I would say friends, but we were friendly. We see each other from time to time. And, I've been doing this thing for 30 years. And I would never think of writing to him and saying, you're corrupt, you're, whatever it is, I'm leaving, right? Because he doesn't care. And, he's not going to change. So I told my viewers, people who've been watching my Journey series, but I didn't tell him, because it's stupid. And it's immature, and you think people care about you when they don't, right? You just got to realize people don't care about you. You don't care about people. Like, most people think that other people care more about them or other people in general than they care about other people, right? You don't care. They care as much as you do, or maybe even less. Like, you might care in the sense of, oh, how dare you, goodbye, cruel world. Like, nobody cares, right? Nobody really cares. I mean, you have loved ones and people who are invested in things like this. When you're whining and complaining, nobody cares. People who have jobs that are, customer service people, it's their job to pretend they care about, oh, you're upset. Oh, we don't want to lose you as a customer. Oh, they hate you, right? Deep down, they hate you. What they're saying is they're forced to say it. And so it's stupid to, to say things like this. I mean, it's just, immature and childish. I don't care. You don't like my videos? Good, leave. I'm not, I understand why I don't like them. Like, I like what I produce. I'm happy with what I produce here, but I'm not a fan. Like, I don't care. You're not hurt my feelings. I have a small fringe fan base from 5 to 10,000 people out of millions, potentially, 300, worldwide. So maybe 1 billion people that would possibly watch my videos. I mean, I've had, probably 500 million views. If I count all the videos I've deleted, my channel, I've had maybe, I've had millions upon millions of views here, right? And out of those millions of views, I have about 5 or 10,000 people who really like me, right? Like, so, I've accepted that I'm not really that likable and people don't like what I have to say, right? And so if you don't think I had COVID, you're one of these flubies, right? QBs, flubies, newbies, whatever it was. Something else I had. There was another thing, I already forgot it. But you're one of these flubies. I just said words that you disagreed with. Like what happened with me in Heartfulness and this guy Kamlesh or whatever. Some of it was personal and it was hurtful, right? And I still wouldn't, I don't care. Like, I don't care about him and, whatever's going on. I mean, it sucks that what happened there, but he doesn't care and I don't care. So, like, you don't need to express it, right? I just, FYI, like, just for your information, I just need to tell, okay, I don't want you to tell it. If you're not watching my videos, I don't care, right? Go ahead, leave. You're welcome to leave. Most people do. Only a small fragment of the population who watch my videos has stayed. Right now on this channel alone, I'm sure I have like another 20 million views on my other channel. Or whatever, 10, whatever it is. I have 111 million views on this channel. And all the videos that I privatized, which is years and years of work, I lost all those views once I privatized the videos. And so those videos have I probably have 500 million views here. Because I've deleted videos that had, some of them had, millions of views, whatever it is. And when I made more videos in the past, I made shorter videos. So there's been, millions upon millions of people that watch my channel. And out of that, there's like, 10,000 people, right? Under 10,000 people that are regular viewers. So I've accepted that people are not going to like what I produce here. I mean, even if everybody but one person some people, they have a right to not like what you create, right? Not everyone's going to like it. Not everyone's going to buy your, buy one of your mugs that you made on people who do like clay mugs or whatever it is, right? People aren't going to like your stuff. That's just fine. You don't have to tell them though. Why do you got to tell them? Like, what's wrong with you that you have to tell people, hey, you suck, right? I mean, I say people suck, but I don't say it to their face. I do it kindly behind their backs, right, on the internet. And so I'm not out there trying to tell people, hey, you suck, because, they don't care. And, other than just maybe hurting their feelings or whatever it is, they're not going to change. It's like, hey, you suck. Be a different person for me. I mean, that's what you're saying. You're just some random person that I don't know who stumbled upon my video. I mean, all these people who say this. And then you want to tell me how to be and live. And, hey, you should change to accommodate, just in case I watched 2 seconds of your video or a minute of your video, I want you to change. And I wanted you to change what you believe and what you say and who you are, because it made me uncomfortable. Okay, that's called narcissism. Look it up. Okay, here is the next comment. And so this is from my woke Black Panther, Wakanda Forever tropes. They were racial tropes and these other things. And the person wrote, "The white man speaks, so I guess we should all agree with him, right? I'm the white man." In this comment, I'm the white man. And then it says, "Sigh, you have missed the point or haven't even known the Black Panther mythology." See, there was these characters, if you saw my video, that were, worshiping gorillas and apes and Hanuman. It was, all kinds of weird stuff. Because Hanuman's Indian, and Hanuman is an Indian god from the Ramayana. It has a tale where gorillas are primates, and these guys were hooting and acting like apes, and they were African Americans. And I made a reference to when I grew up. I saw Howard Cosell get fired or criticized for calling a black person a monkey, which is considered a derogatory trope, a mean term, whatever it is. And it was all over Black Panther, of course, the spears and all this other stuff, right? And for this person to say you don't understand the Black Panther mythology, it was written by white guys, like old white guys. You look at Stan Lee's, kind of an out of touch, weird comic book people. And it has a lot of racial tropes and whatever it is, right? And it's being celebrated as some kind of woke. And there was a really bad movie. The first one was like one of the worst Marvel movies. They started to get progressively bad or worse. And, Miss Captain Marvel came out at the same time. So it made Black Panther look better because Captain Marvel was so bad. But then this movie is by far the worst Marvel movie. Spoiler alert, because, I've talked about all these. It's just lots of plot holes. And the biggest one, not the biggest one, the one that's most glaring, is that she got impaled. And I found a comic book site here. I searched this. How did Shuri survive being impaled by Namor in Black Panther, Wakanda Forever? And this is what they say. Shuri survived by being impaled by Namor in Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, due to her newfound powers after drinking the synthetic heart-shaped herb and becoming the new Black Panther. Her suit also helped close the wounds, while her rage helps with the pain and tolerance. So she was impaled, right? The guy stuck a spear, and he had one of these vibranium spears as well. And he stuck a spear through her, and she pulled the spear out and walked over to him, with a spear that just went through her. And she, threatened him. She, was going to kill him, but made him submit or whatever. And then that was it. Like, there was no bandages. There was no healing. In the beginning of the movie, her brother, who died in real life of cancer, died of a common cold that she couldn't save, right? She couldn't save the guy, and she couldn't recreate the flower or whatever, but he had all the Black Panther, enhanced human being stuff. similar to what Captain America had, right? And they have these rules you need. Like superhero stuff is all goofy, right? Like a radioactive spider doesn't make you into Spider-Man. Gamma rays, which we all receive on a daily basis, they're a part of our, electro, whatever, frequency, gamma waves, doesn't turn you into the Hulk, right? It's stupid stuff. Like toxic stuff, they say, things that should poison you, turn you into a superhero. That's the time when comic books, were in the time when DDT is good for me, when chemicals were, somehow considered great stuff. And radioactive, radiation was going to make somebody stronger instead of killing them, which it actually does, right? But there was this character called Vision in the comic books. I read The Avengers when I was a kid. And in the Marvel universe, it was the character was created out of Iron Man's AI, 2 AI programs. One was there to defend the world, and one was his personal sort of AI assistant. And the body was made out of vibranium by a robotic mastermind and brought to life by Thor. It had all the properties of vibranium, and he could become translucent and vaporize and go through a wall. Like he could reduce his matter so he could go through a wall. He had one of these powerful infinity stones, and he also could become as hard as diamonds, right? So nothing could penetrate his skin. But somehow in the Infinity War, he was stabbed in the back by, an alien that just didn't have any sort of real, powers other than being maybe, physically strong or something. But some creature snuck up on him, stabbed him in the back, and he had vibranium. He's an artificial being who could, it didn't make any sense. Like when I was watching the movie, but it makes even less sense with this thing with Shuri, because, she has a vibranium suit, but she's a human being. She was impaled, and it didn't, she shook it off, right? Like it was, and so the movie sucked, and and there's all these racial tropes, right? And regardless of the color of my skin, what I'm saying here is truthful. And this, woke mob that's out there that wants to make this movie and these characters into something they're not. I mean, it's just, it's ridiculous. But this brings me to the comment I think I most want to talk about. So in the Journey 87, I talk about how I'm not doing heartfulness anymore, but I'm doing Sajmark. Because heartfulness is corrupted, it's a cancer, and it is blocking. It's a whole thing. Like I went through a whole thing with my, my meditation, and, it was a whole process. And I mean, it's been for the last year, and about, 2/3 of my Journey series ended up being about that, right? And so this person writes, it's funny how people in a cult don't call it a cult until they leave. And so I was thinking, first of all, I don't know if this person's watched a lot of my Journey series, but, some of the videos are 8 hours long. And this one was 5 hours. And I'm like, you sat through this whole thing to leave this little bitchy comment? like take stock of your life, bro. Like, I can't imagine anybody watching, they're long videos. I mean, these are voiceovers. Sometimes they're 45 minutes, an hour, and there's multiple ones, and then I do other stuff in it. But this video was 4 hours long. And you watched all that, and you still didn't get it? Like, why would you watch it if that's your comment? Like, why would you watch the Journey series if you weren't getting something out of it? Like, it's hours and hours of your time, right? Sajmark is not a cult. What I do is, the meditation that I do. People could quit anytime they want. It's a completely volunteer organization. They don't, there was no pressure. It's none of these things, right? It's, it's a legitimate organization that connected people to the divinity that was within them. The current master of the system has gone like, he's got horrible people around him. He's made bad decisions, and he's lost it. Like he's just lost whatever. And he used to have it. Like he was a good practitioner of the system, but he had what's called a spiritual fall. And I think they would want to make it into a cult, but they suck so bad at it. I mean, I've documented this, and he has so little charisma that they can't turn it into a cult because, it's not appealing to people, right? I mean, they want to make it into a cult, but but they can't do it because they don't have something that's going to hook people into it, right? They suck at it. I mean, they're like cult wannabes. But that doesn't mean the organization or the system, the meditation, the cleaning, and the transmission don't exist that were there before, right? It's happened to every religion. I don't know if this person's a Christian or not, but it happened to your religion. It went from being a spiritual organization when Jesus was there, or a spiritual movement, and then, shortly after he died, it became a religious cult. All religions, that's what happens to. And I'm watching it happen now. And I think I've watched it happen before because I think I've been around for some of these other things, right? In previous existences. But, the bigger point here is why are you spending so much time watching this thing just so you can leave a little weak, bitchy ass comment like that? Anyways, only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely reporting for the Apocalypse and the Ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful. Maybe African in nature. Who knows?